And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me as always is my good brother here in the temple, the man of 1,000 runes, the CEO of Zadari Enterprises, and the bane of my fucking existence, good brother Xanatrix.
Zadari Enterprises would like to remind you that Mecha is the best, and the 45th anniversary of Gundam has come around the corner. Everyone should enjoy this. It is mandatory fun. You are not allowed to skip out.
Mandatory fun, what, like that Weird Al album?
Exactly.
Oh. But now normally doing Valley of the Judged on Sunday isn't our usual MO. However, Trevor, aka over at SDG Publishing, had kind of forced our hand with a little bit of a surprise. So
Surprise.
about a week or I'd say about a week or so, he messages me, and in that message contains a new supplement for Veil of the Void called Prophecy, which we're going into. This is technically a free expansion. We just ended up getting it a little bit early, and then I hounded him over the fact that it didn't have bookmarks, and then we got an updated version. Not to say that I have that kind of pull over people, but it's generally good advice to have bookmarks in your PDF if you can help it. Hyperlinks even more so, but as I've said before, I'm not going to lose sleep if somebody doesn't have that. Now, I did have to double check this because I did not want a repeat of what happened during the Yggdrasil incident. Fortunately, the expansion here is only 33 pages. Yggdrasil didn't pan out the way he wanted to, so what he's been doing is refining what he had and segmenting some of the stuff that he had, some of the non-Yggdrasil adjacent stuff that he had planned for, and putting them in its own thing. I think there's one other supplement that's planned that is going to strongly focus on Mecha.
Mm-hmm.
Which is understandable, since even though Mecha are present in Veil of the Void, it is another case of they're another form of vehicle, especially since it's got to share space with so many other aspects. Like, we may be mech fans, but we're not unreasonable about it. Mecha is not going to be a sole focus in a Veil of the Void campaign.
There are games that are sole focused on Mecha that would be more appropriate to use if you want a sole focus on Mecha.
Mm-hmm. Now, fortunately for us, this particular expansion, Prophecy, is only 33 pages, as opposed to the ungodly amount of pages that was Yggdrasil. And
yeah, we kind of went crazy on Yggdrasil.
A lot of it focuses on some new keywords, some clarifications, some minor stuff there. A new role for vehicle use, as well as one new species and one new class, the Divinal and the Prophet, respectively. And you remember how some of the classes that we looked at in Yggdrasil were kind of incomplete at the time?
Yep, I remember.
That's not exactly the case here. We have a full 20 level class with 3 specializations.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 specializations are class exclusive. So with that said, and I think there will be a bit of skimming before we get into the species in the class. The first thing to note are some new conditions. The first one being Blessed. While under this condition, gain 7 D2s that may be rolled after any check or damage has been performed. The D2 result rolled may then be used as additional pips to affect the rolled check or damage dice. Only one D2 may be rolled per check. Free pips.
Yep.
Let's see. Chaos Sickness. While this condition is active, take an additional 10% damage from all damage types, excluding Ordic. Oh, that could be pretty nasty.
Indeed.
Discombobulated number. While this condition is active, add -1 temporary virtue point to mentality and judgment. This may not bring either virtue below 2 points. If you fail a mentality or judgment skill check while discombobulated, gain the stun condition. Discombobulated does not stack.
That's useful.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure some people are thinking of the discombobulate meme that came out of the Sherlock Holmes movie.
Discombobulate.
Mm-hmm. Harsh terrain. While moving through areas under this condition, each space requires 2 squares of movement to move through. Okay. The Field Knight is looking at that and laughing.
The Field Knight is looking at that and laughing, and also looking at that and going, how can I drag people into this?
Let's see. Stagnated, which also has a number. Those afflicted with this condition lose the ability to transform their shape from the current form they hold, outside of natural duration ends. Premium level adversaries cannot be affected. So that's for anti-shapeshifters.
Fun.
Suppressed. A suppressed target must expend an action to move out of full cover. If they do not expend an action, the suppressing unit automatically inflicts their weapon's damage to the suppressed target. A suppressed target in half cover must expend half movement each round or take half the suppressing weapon's damage. Additionally, suppressed targets roll with -1 bonus die on attacks and must use half of their movement to perform the attack. A target cannot be affected by multiple suppressed conditions. Remember, folks, accuracy by volume. Although this is one of the more interesting ways to do suppressive fire. Next we have True Sight. True Sight allows a being to see all hidden objects, traps, beings, and rune/writings within sight, and up to 20 squares away. Those under the effects of True Sight can never lose track of beings in covert while they are within sight and range, though those beings may perform a covert check to hide themselves from others. Additionally, those with True Sight can determine what is illusory. And the final condition is Weary. Then we have a number in parentheses, or pound I should say. For the duration, the afflicted being adds -2 temporary virtue points to their primary virtue, or highest virtue if they do not have a primary. When it comes to this whole adding a negative, I do think that's a little bit of counterintuitive. I think that might be better as written that they have like in this case a temporary -2 penalty.
Yeah.
But then we have new movement actions. Overwatch, which can be used during the movement phase and is available to any being equipped with a non-area field ranged weapon. As far as the effect, you sacrifice an attack action and half your movement to create a 180-degree watched field within your weapon's short range in front of you until your next turn. The next time an adversary steps into or through this field, you may perform an attack against the adversary with your currently equipped ranged weapon. If you are hit while maintaining this field, you must perform an average 3 balance mentality check. On failure, the field is cancelled. While active, you cannot perform reactionary strikes. And hey, you don't if you roll doubles, you don't run the risk of jamming your damn weapon. Looking at you, Space Hulk. The most advanced equipment the Imperium has to offer still jams.
Yep.
And we have Suppressive Fire, a new mechanic which may be used during the movement phase and is available to all beings equipped with a non-area sustained fire ranged weapon or adversaries that have a ranged weapon and can perform 2 or more attacks per round. Use an extra action, reaction, and your weapon's sustained fire dice, which is on page 160 in the core rulebook, or 2 attacks if it's an adversary without sustained fire dice. To target another being under full or half cover. Until the start of your next turn, that target gains the suppress condition. So it's a good thing to have for those who have graduated from the Troa Barton School of Combat.
Troa Barton? Nah, couldn't be. It's some masked clown guy. Not Troa.
Yes, the Troa we know isn't Troa. Would have been better if I called him No Name.
Maybe.
But then we have damage types. The 3 damage types that are added are Corrupt, Psyche, and Radiant. Corrupt reduces the armor level of hit targets by 1 level for 1 round. If it's a divinal or divine creature, it inflicts plus 1d6 damage. Psyche, non-magical damage that pierces physical barriers, dealing damage directly into the mental space. If a being takes critical Psyche damage, they gain Discombobulated 3. If critically hit, the being may perform a hard 4 Arcanting or Supersensory skill check to avoid gaining the condition. Then Radiant. This damage inflicts the base weapon damage plus 1d6 to creatures with the keywords Corrupt, Demonic, Undead, and or Fallen. This damage increases by 1d6 at level 10.
Nice.
Then we have the Supersensory skill, which is a brand new skill for this, and I'll let you take over.
Well, it's not new. Supersensory was in the base.
Yeah,
it's been changed.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it was an expertise, and this is a skill that gives you the expertise plus some other stuff.
Yeah. If you want the full details on what Supersensory was in core, we have a whole ass playlist that can be referred to, and I will link the Veil of the Void playlist in the description once the recording finishes.
Yep. And so this is the Supersensory skill. As foretold long ago, the Dragon of the Void once again stirs in his slumber. With his stirring, Supersensory abilities have appeared or grown in potency. A new skill has been added. This is Supersensory, which can be used with either Mentality or Judgment.
Mm-hmm.
This skill unlocks a creature's ability to manipulate their own will, gaining access to powerful supersensory gifts. With 1 skill point in the skill, you lose the ability to learn and cast spells, but may use this check to perform required contested Arcanting checks. You gain the expertise Supersensory as per core rulebook on page 35. With 4 skill points, once every 3 rounds as a reaction, you may attempt a contested Supersensory check against a target casting a spell equal to or less than your current spell level within 20 squares of you. On a success, cancel the spell being cast. And with 7 skill points, roll plus 1 auto hit die on Supersensory checks. You gain protection from all magical damage. Additionally, you now gain bonus Supersensory effects. Work with your GM to create unique abilities or improve your previous ones. So if you dump 7 Monk, you're making a blank. You're making a blank. You're becoming anti-magic. Because when you've dumped 7 skill points into the thing, you become immune to magic, or at least magical-based damage. And you can stop magic. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have some new expertises. Prophecy introduces several expertise that can be taken at any time, and expertise may be taken or gained. For 2 points, you have Area Magic Manipulator. Your mastery over area spells has improved. You get plus 1 auto hit die on the check for an area or cone field spell. If you succeed, or oh, okay. So what this does is it basically gives your friends the ability to more easily not get hit by area spells. When your allies are forced to perform a check because you've cast an area spell, they get plus 1 auto hit die. If they succeed, they take no damage. If they fail, they only take half damage. So no matter what, they're taking half damage from your area magic from now on.
Mm-hmm.
You get balanced strikes. Your attacks walk a line between chaos and order. Gain an additional attack action once every 4 rounds. This attack inflicts plus 1d6 ordic damage on a successful hit. You may attempt to gain an additional attack action outside of the 4-round cooldown by performing a tough 5 balance check. On a failure, you do not gain the additional attack and take 2 plus player level in chaos damage. So you can try and give yourself extra attacks with a really tough check. But if you fail, you're going to get hit pretty hard. You have Determined Roguery, which is 2 points. You gain 3 Roguery points that refresh every short rest. These Roguery points may be spent as standard determination points, except it only costs 3 Roguery points to force an adversary to reroll their check instead of 5. Additionally, once per round, you may expend a single Roguery point after a successful attack to add an additional 6 pure damage. For those who don't remember, pure damage bypasses all defenses and ignores all resistances. It's just you're taking 6 damage, period. No end of story. No prevention. Enchanted Incantation, which costs 3 points. Words are powerful and can be used to bind magic. During a short rest, choose 2 known spells and speak them into existence as golden runes that wrap around your arms. You may cast one of these spells as an extra action once per round. These spells last until cast or until your next short rest. Spell story.
Yep.
Failing Forward. I wonder what this could be. Your luck isn't always the best, but somehow you always make it through. 3 times per day, after you critically fail a check, you may instead treat that as an advantageous failure. That's pretty useful, I'd say. Knower of the Unseen. Your eyes have been opened to the plane unseen. You can now see the spirits, hosts, divinials, and demonic forces that wander the unseen plane. With this sight, you can see if the forces are affecting beings within your normal plane. You may interact with beings from the unseen plane, though at your own risk. Interacting with them means they can also interact with you. Roll with +1 auto-hit die on checks against beings from this plane of existence. And they have an example. A diplomat of the Star Council has a demonic force attached to them, corrupting their mind. You can see this entity and what it is doing. Then we have Second Wind, which costs 2 points. Once per round, after your attack kills or critically strikes a target within your threatened area, you may use the Disengage movement action for free without sacrificing their action. If you end up adjacent to another adversary after this movement, you may perform a single attack against the new target as an extra action. That's pretty interesting expertise. Sweet and Sickly, 2 points. You are a master of your words. When attempting to persuade others with your words, you may add +1 pip to the speechcraft, intimidation, or performance check. Once per round, as an extra action, you may target a being that can hear you and perform a contested speechcraft mentality check on a success. Inflict the poison condition on the target, and they roll with -1 bonus die on their next check. Okay. If words could kill, Monk. Then we have extra clarifications on some rules, such as full and half cover. Occasionally, something such as a wall may provide half or full cover. When this happens, you gain bonuses to your defense against range attacks. Half cover is an obstruction that only partially obstructs view of the being taking cover, such as a sandbag wall for an average-sized Elan. It provides some cover, but not complete cover. Single target attacks against beings in half cover roll with -2 bonus dice. Full cover is gained by hiding behind an obstruction that completely conceals the being taking cover, preventing targets from getting a good shot. Beings hidden in full cover cannot be attacked by non-area field attacks unless they attacked within the next round. If a being in full cover attacked within the next round, they are now considered to be in half cover and gaining the benefits from that cover type instead. Construction Spell Extension. In Veil of the Void, there are several construction-based spells, such as Summon Wall spell from the Arcane Earth spell tree. These spells can be used in many fun ways, and occasionally you may want to extend the duration of these spells to assist your party, such as making a shelter with the Summon Wall that lasts the night. In these cases, to extend the spell, you must use an arcane charge state point for every 2 hours you wish to add, up to a max of 4 charge state points. After the spell ends, it adds half the number of additional hours used to its cooldown. For example, Extending a spell for 4 hours would add 2 hours to the spell's cooldown. And if you want to remember about charge states and cooldown, please go watch our main playlist regarding Veil of the Void's core rules. We have maintaining channel clarification. In Veil of the Void Reforged's core rulebook, we recently added rules to clarify what maintaining a channel is. A new check has been added that must be performed in order to maintain an active channel, that is, anything being channeled, not just a spell, after receiving damage. In order to maintain a channel, use half of your max movement and an extra action each turn. If the channel is not maintained this way or cancelled, the spell or action will end. Additionally, if you take damage while maintaining a channel, you must succeed an average 3 Arcanting, Muscle, Balance, or Mentality check. On a failure, the channel is interrupted and cancelled. If channeling a spell while under the overcharged effect, the difficulty increases to hard 4. And then we have a new spell backfire optional rule. Didn't we already have spell backfires, though? You know what I mean, Monk.
Oh, yeah.
This rule is designed to add a bit of spice to channeled spell interruption and would affect both PCs and adversaries. It is completely optional, but does make interrupting high-level spells a bit more fun and deadly. If a channeled spell cast at adept level or higher is interrupted, the magic user casting the spell immediately takes 3d6 psyche damage. Add plus 2d6 damage if a super magus or if a magus level spell is interrupted, or 66 if a superlative level spell is interrupted. But what if they crit fail? That's not a good thing to do about a superlative spell. Free spell clarification. A free spell still requires an Arcanting check to cast, but does not add to its respective charge state when successfully cast. I mean, that makes sense. You still have to roll to see if you hit with something, but you don't increase your charge state. Then we have the ethereal keyword clarification. The ethereal keyword is mentioned often in the Veil of the Void Reforged core rulebook. This section will clarify a bit about how the world interacts with ethereal creatures. Ethereal creatures gain protection from all incoming physical damage, can move through objects, beings, and walls, and incoming reactionary strikes roll with -1 bonus die. Ethereal creatures cannot end their turn inside a solid object. If an ethereal creature would not have enough movement to move through a solid object, such as a wall, the creature cannot pass through it. Ethereal creatures cannot pass through solid objects enchanted by ether-repelling runes or items. Any being with the ether workings expertise adds +1 bonus die on attacks against the ethereal creatures and ignores the -1 bonus die on reactionary strikes against ethereal creatures. Beings with the occult expertise attempting to track an ethereal creature roll with +1 bonus die. If a physical damage-based weapon becomes magical through enchantments or spells, that weapon ignores the physical damage protection the ethereal creature has.
Mm-hmm.
Fun.
Yep. See, and then we have a mage's minor magics. The core rulebook goes over in detail how spells are used, made, cast, and created, but it doesn't talk about the most simplistic of minor magics. Minor magics are, as the name implies, minor effects that any mage can learn and manipulate. These minor magics are generally weak, but useful common/everyday spells. Anyone with 2+ levels in the Arcanting skill can cast these magical effects. Minor magics are, most importantly, meant to encourage your narrative and storytelling. Magic is meant to be fun, and mages will always use it to their advantage, even in the smallest of ways, completely out of convenience. While we will give some guidelines, that thing we love, for making minor magics and examples of the potential uses of minor magics, we encourage you not to stress too heavily over the rules for them. Minor magics are meant to encourage your player character's narrative and make magic more active in your roleplay, not bog down the story with rule concerns. An example, let's say your character is a gritty, noir, magical detective working on a particularly tough case, and you always have your trusty pack of cigarettes with you to help you think. While contemplating this case, you pull one out and use a minor magic spell to create a small, lighter-sized flame at the tip of your finger. You then light the cigarette with it, shake it out, and mull over the case. All minor magics share these characteristics. They cause small effects, such as cleaning a small square of soiled cloth. They can only be cast outside of combat. They generally have no cooldown. They do not add to charge states. There is no limit to how many you can cast a day. However, you may only have up to 5 minor magic enchantments active at one time. We heavily encourage you to just mess around and have fun creating your own spells, even on the spot. We will list a few examples here to give you a running start. Also, hey there, Trevor. I see you in the chat. How you doing? So we have, and we're not going to go through the details of each because these are meant to be examples of this broad idea. Dry clean, hover spell, which is doing what you think it would do. Hover spell, enchant, which is an enchantment.
And it doesn't work on anything more than 5 pounds or 1 square away from you.
Lighter flame. So
we already covered that one.
Minor purification. So purify water. Note taker, an enchantment. Basically turn a pen into a auto writer.
Yep.
Which for some reason makes me think of the Hex computer in Discworld. Recall simple knowledge. And waistcloth.
Washcloth.
What? Oh, washcloth. I don't know why I said waistcloth.
You're thinking too many Hot Springs episodes. I don't know.
Yep.
But recall simple knowledge is pretty simple. You know, you take the time to remember the simple knowledge about something you studied. And washcloth turns, well, a cloth or item into something that magically has water and cleans things, but only the things you want to clean.
But then we have our first species entry, our new species entry for this expansion, the Divinals or Divinials.
Hey, I get to be Philly Deus again, except I don't remember what I did for his voice all the way back then. So I'll just make up a new old man voice.
The Divinials are the greatest and most honorable warriors throughout all the realms. They were the second species created by Eloah, formed to be guardians of the realm, much like the Elan. They hold fast against the Faces and their broken realms, fighting the unseen battles and preventing our realms from being overrun by the corrupt. Should they fail, I dare not think what may happen to our reality.
Excerpts of Philly Deus.
And yeah, the Divinials are basically I want to play some form of angel.
I mean, at least it's not a Dark Souls angel, right?
But obviously, with a lot of the history aspect, that's that kind of thing we skim.
Yep.
But I will note this: the Divinials can hide their wings from the sight of non-Divinial beings. This ability lets them walk among mortal kind, taking on the appearance of an Elan or human. They often work alongside adventurers, keeping the world safe from the great evils that exist outside the unseen. And then their stats. Age. The Divinials have 2 age cycles: young, birth to 18, and adult, 19 and over. As they constantly shift between the unseen and our realms, they do not age normally. Currently, the oldest Divinial, outside of the Archdivine, is approximately 23 cycles old. Height, their stature reaches between 5 and 7 feet. Speed, 6 squares walk and a flight speed based on the Wings of the Exalted ancestral path. Language, they speak, read, and write Common, and the language of Divinial, language of the divine. Additionally, they can read and speak the Dema language with no negative mental effects. Then special. Divinials can enter and exit the unseen, while outside of combat and channeling for 1 minute. While in the unseen, they lose their physical form and take on that of a spiritual one. Inside of the unseen, they can locate other Divinials as well as demonic creatures that may be inside. And then we have Divinial traits. So the 3 traits are Divine Knowledge. The Divinials are born with an innate gift for understanding. You begin character creation with 7 skill points to distribute, 7 expertise points to use, and 7 virtue points to distribute. One of these 7 virtue points may be used to increase a single virtue of choice to 6 points. Now, these points replace the standard 5 points given at character creation, but follow the same distribution rules. And we have
Nice.
Divinial Resistance. You cannot be affected by demonic or corrupt conditions and roll with +1 bonus dice when resisting demonic/corrupted spells. If you are hit by demonic/corrupted damaging spells, you take 20% less damage from that spell. And the third is Martial Understanding. You are formed with the knowledge of war and the skill needed to combat the evils within it. You gain proficiency in all non-unique one-handed and two-handed melee and ranged weapons, as well as non-unique medium and heavy armor. Additionally, when fighting demonic or corrupted creatures, you gain +1 pip to add on your attacks. So they're starting off with a lot of advantages.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have the Ancestral Paths, namely the Wings of the Exalted. The majority of Divinials are born with strong, beautiful wings of power. They can conceal or reveal these wings from non-Divinial species at will. Once per round while your wings are revealed, you may use your wings as a reaction to perform dodge or defense checks against incoming attacks and spells. And then we have Wingless. Wingless Divinials are the rarest form to see. The Wingless specialize in the hunting and assassination of the demonic hosts. These Divinials lose their flight speed but gain a base movement speed of 10 squares.
Jesus.
You gain +1 bonus level in Covert. You can instantly leave and exit the unseen at will, and demonic/corrupted and creatures cannot detect your presence. Roll with +2 auto hit dice on hunting and tracking checks when hunting demonic/corrupted/evil creatures. So then we have 2 wings. The majority of Divinials have 2 wings. They make excellent soldiers and spies. You gain a flight speed of 7 squares. Additionally, you may use your wings as a cloak. While your wings are used as a cloak, you roll with +2 auto hit dice on convert and sleight of hand checks. While your wings are visible to others, you may add +1 pip to dodge and defense checks. So then we have 4 wings. Divinials with 4 wings are typically the divine magic commanders of the Legion, speaking magic into reality and emboldening their allies. You gain a flight speed of 14 squares. You roll with +2 bonus dice on contested charm and mentality checks. You may use charm to perform arcanting checks and start the game with an additional 3 novice spells of choice. Then we have 6 wings. The wings of these Divinials appear coated in a holy fire, blinding the corrupt who look upon them. You gain a flight speed of 21 squares. Your wings can glow in holy flame at your command, forcing a target to perform a hard 4 observation check. On a failure, the being is inflicted with the blind condition for 3 rounds. This may affect the same target twice per day. While the being is being blinded from this ability, allies roll with +1 pip on their attacks against the afflicted being. Additionally, as an extra action once per round, you may target an adjacent adversary and inflict 1d6 + 2 radiant damage to them. This damage increases to 2d6 + 4 at level 10. So I'd say the different forms of Wings of the Exalted could be the equivalent of different ranks of angels.
I mean, that's very clearly what's taken from.
Yeah, 6 wings is that's Seraphim.
Well, I mean, but there aren't enough eyes, Monk.
We're not going full Be Not Afraid.
Be not afraid!
Oh, but what would you, in that regard, what would you say would be 4 wings? Cherubim?
No, it's an archangel.
Two wings would just be any standard angel.
Yep.
And wingless.
There aren't any cherubim in here simply because there are no watchers, which is what the cherubim basically are.
Yeah. Oh. But so the Divinial is an interesting species. I probably wouldn't have someone do this as a as their first character. I'd probably reserve the Divinial for somebody who's had a few sessions under their belt. But then
I'd play a Divinial as my first character just because.
But then we have the Prophet.
Indeed.
Our first proper class, and I'll let you take this one.
Alrighty. So, the beginning fluff is actually small enough. I'll actually start with that. For as long as the mortal species and the deities have existed, so too have the prophets wandered the stars. While the deities have many who worship them, only a few are chosen to become faithful prophets. Prophets are directly chosen by the deity they serve and are granted supernatural powers. In turn, prophets are given a mission to spread the messages of their patron and act on their behalf. The prophets directly hear the voice of their patron, a gift few receive. They listen and vow to go where needed, acting upon the commands of their deity. Their faith carries and sustains them. They shall not be deterred. Their starting proficiencies in weapons are for spears, swords, great weapons, and pistols. That's actually quite a wide selection. Their starting proficiencies for armor are heavy synthetic armor and shields. Also pretty good. And their starting tool proficiency is the Wanderer's Pack. When they level beyond level 1 for HP, you add 2d6 or 7 plus Vitality to max HP. Their starting items are a two-handed plasma spear or great spear, a one-handed melee weapon and shield, synthetic heavy armor, the Wanderer's Pack. Their starting SC is 3d6 times 1,000, and they get +1 bonus level in 3 skills of choice. And there's a note about the Wanderer's Pack. This old satchel is well used and a close companion of the Prophet. It can store up to 5 medium-sized weapons and items, as well as 30 small/tiny items. Your patron can send small gifts or food directly to this pack. It is automatically attuned to your character, and no one else can interact with it. If you die, the pack loses all its functions and returns to a normal pack. If you are revived, it will reattune and function normally. That's fun. So, looking at the chart of abilities that this class is going to get, many of the abilities they get are exclusive to the class, which kind of makes sense considering that the Prophet is a very exclusionary type of class looking at it, since it's supposed to be you are devoted to this god. So most of the things probably come from those gods. And for the best example of this, the very first ability they get is the Chosen Patron. It's exclusive because it tells you to choose a patron from the gods of the Veil of the Void universe. And so each of them has its own advantages and disadvantages, starting with Elenath. The aspect of life values all life. Your vow to her is to protect the living and respect flora and fauna alike. This does not prevent you from ending a life, but choosing to do so cannot be done lightly. While she is your patron, your outgoing and incoming healing is increased by 10%. Once per long rest, you may heal all allies within 40 squares by 4 times vitality in HP, and this also heals allies in the down state. You become the healer of all healers. Makes sense. Ruinoth. The aspect of death views the living as a loving father views his children. Each life matters to him, and when they finally meet him, he will preserve their memories for all eternity. The Hogfather then. Got it. Death in Discworld. He's very, very loving of the living. For those who don't know, read every goddamn Discworld book. What is wrong with you? Why haven't you read these already? They are literary masterpieces. Read them.
At the very least, watch through some of the miniseries, especially
Yes.
The Color of Magic and Hogfather Knight.
Yes.
Hogfather Knight, I will note, I have gone out of my way to try and have that be recognized as a Christmas movie, because it
is a Christmas movie.
If we can get Die Hard to be considered a Christmas movie, I want Hogfather Knight to be considered one, right alongside Endless Waltz.
Endless Waltz is a Christmas movie. Yes, this is true. Not many people will accept that either, Monk. But we've gotten Die Hard accepted as a Christmas movie, so you're right. We can continue to advance. But to continue with Ruinoff, your vow is to watch over the living and guide the dead to their place beyond. It is important to offer the memories of those who die by your hands to your patron. While he is your patron, once per party member, you may revive them from the dead if they have been dead for less than 4 hours, granting them life and the resurrected expertise as normal. Additionally, your attacks inflict 1d6 pure damage to damaged targets. What? And 10 plus 10% damage to targets below 50% max HP. What? Oh, you've been hit once? Well, now I'm doing 1d6 pure damage to you every time I hit you now. Oh, wait, you're below half health? Now I'm doing 10% more damage to you as well. Okay. I like that. If I were to play a prophet, I might choose Ruinoff. Maybe, but we've only gotten through 2 of the gods. There are still 6 left. Sylvana. The aspect of change is one of both chaos and order. She encourages all to question destiny and pursue the better option. She desires her followers take control of destiny as well. Your vow is to encourage and support others and to welcome the change that occurs, whether good or bad. While she is your patron, you gain +8 max determination points, and you may allow your allies to use your determination points as their own. Additionally, once per long rest, you may refresh half of your expended determination. Jesus. Miala. The aspect of destiny is always just beyond reach, yet always there. She focuses on the importance of choice and consequences. Your vow is to offer guidance to mortals and guard them from those who would wish to destroy their future. While she is your patron, once per round or once per every other skill check outside of combat, you may grant an ally +2 bonus dice on a check. Additionally, while within 2 squares of an ally, any attacker wishing to strike the ally must roll 1d6. On a 3+, they must attack you instead. So Miala is your tank, your skilly tank. Help with some skill stuff, help with some checks, but also, hey, you want to hit them? Nuh-uh, you're going to hit me instead. If I were going to play a prophet and choose Miala, I'd also swap in some of the skills from tank classes. Omnia. The aspect of time exists in the past, present, and future, gaining a unique perspective on the importance of every moment. While each mortal's life is but a grain of sand in an endless hourglass, they each have their own history to write. Your vow is to make the most of every moment and to right the wrongs you encounter. While he is your patron, you gain +2 squares of base movement, and 2 times per long rest, you may target an ally, giving them +1 reaction, extra action, or action until the end of their next turn. Nice. That's pretty fun. Then we have Eichel. The aspect of judgment is the first judge, a being of pure order. She judges the acts of the living, delivering consequences to the just and unjust. Your vow is to uphold the greater law and to bring a just judgment down on those who have earned it. While she is your patron, you gain 5 expertise points. Additionally, you may mark an adversary or NPC within range of your current melee weapon with a rune of judgment. This rune lasts for 10 minutes. While this rune is active, the target cannot lie to you. If they attempt to lie to you, you will know it is a lie and instead be given the truth through deific revelation. A target unknowingly lying does not reveal any truths. So if they believe it to be true, it won't work.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the bad guy tells one of his minions, "Yeah, we're totally going to plan the big event over at this place." Well, actually planning it over at the other place. And you interrogate said baddie, he only knows the one thing, so you can't get the revelation. Makes sense. Irata, aspect of peace. Irata was once the beloved aspect of peace who valued life above all and acted as an arbiter among the living to resolve all conflict. Her presence alone is calming and comforting. Now that part of her is trapped inside a swirling vortex of hatred and wrath. Your vow to her is to be an ambassador of peace and to one day free her from herself. While you uphold this vow, you add +1 to your charm virtue, and all beings within 15 squares of you are naturally peaceful towards you unless you harm them. Additionally, you roll with +1 auto hit die on checks to calm down aggressive individuals or to prevent altercations. But you can also choose your patron to be Irata, Face of Wrath. Irata, the Face of Wrath, cares little for you, but you serve her boundless fury nonetheless. Her need for vengeance consumes your thoughts. While she is your patron, once per round, you may re-roll an attack, even a previously re-rolled one. Whenever you critically hit with an attack, you may add +1 to your critical chart roll. However, you have a -1 in your judgment virtue and are easily angered. And then there's a note. Irata does not kill indiscriminately. She has no quarrel with those who do not interfere with her plans for vengeance. And then the last ability for level 1, which is also unique to the Prophet, Sustained by Faith. Your patron divinely supplies you with all you need to live. If you are a species that requires food, no matter where you go, you will always gain enough food to live for free. You gain free room and board from fellow believers. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll also read through level 2, then give you the page starting at level 3.
All right.
As always on level 2, you get your extra skill point, at every even level. I won't mention it past this one, and I'm sure Monk won't either. But level 2, another unique to the Prophet ability, Divine Blessings. The connection with your patron lets you bestow divine blessings upon others. The effects and intensity of these blessings depend on the type of blessing listed below. All blessings, unless stated otherwise, must be bestowed outside of combat and can be used on anyone. So we have minor blessings, which can be used 12 times per day. After a short communication with your divine patron that lasts roughly 1 minute, your patron's power blesses the target. The target rolls with +1 bonus die on up to 2 chosen checks per day. Moderate, 8 times per day, communication 5 minutes, and you draw a blessed rune on the target. Next time the target would take 7 or less damage or gain a minor condition, they would ignore it. Major blessings are used 4 times per day, 15 minutes communication, and it grants an auto hit die on their next 4 checks that day. Grand Blessing can be used once per day. After a communication lasting 30 minutes, you may grant each party member the Blessed condition, which lasts until the next long rest. So that's how you get the Blessed condition. And then Miracle. A miracle is the strongest of all blessings and may be used once per campaign. This miracle happens in a time of dire need, in which all hope has been exhausted and even faith is threatened to be extinguished. The divine patron of the Prophet may reach out to assist them in this dire time, performing a great miracle for them. This miracle cannot be something beyond what the deity is capable of doing, such as preventing a reality-destroying event, but has no limit beyond that and is left up to the GM to choose. Ah! It's your one campaign get-out-of-jail-free card.
Everybody gets one.
Monk. Everybody gets one. All right, and so with that we move on to the level 3 things.
Yep. So at level 3, you get Weapons of the Divine. Your weapons are supernaturally enchanted. Your weapons are considered magical weapons, allowing them to ignore non-magical resistances. These weapons inflict plus 1d6 radiant damage alongside their normal damage. These weapons cannot be forcefully removed from your hands.
And I'll make a note here that Weapons of the Divine is not class exclusive.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. At level 4, you get advancement training. We've gone over that. At level 5, you get your you dip into your specialization. Those specializations, which we will get into later, are Path of the Chaplain, Path of the Inquisitor, and Path of the Justicar.
Justiciar.
Justiciar, sorry.
Yeah, there's an extra I there, so.
So, at level 6, you get Empowered Focus. While maintaining a channel, incoming attacks roll with -1 bonus die. Additionally, while channeling, you roll with +1 auto hit die on checks required to maintain the channel. At level 7, you gain advancement training. We've gone over that. You also gain Sanctified Strikes, which is exclusive. Gain an additional attack action to use during your action phase.
Wow. Okay.
Oh. At level 8, you gain Patron's Boon. Anytime an ally within 25 squares of you is forced to perform a check in order to take half damage from a spell or attack, They always take half damage regardless of success. Additionally, they roll with +1 bonus die on checks that allow them to take no damage on a check success. Let's see, then level 9, Imposing Force, which is not exclusive. Your mere presence causes adversaries to focus on you rather than your allies. Any ally that stands in the back 3 squares of your adjacent area is treated as being in half cover.
More tankiness.
Level 10, you advance on your specialization. Level 11, you get advancement training. Level 12, you get forceful throw. Your throw range increases to 4 times power. Additionally, you can enchant a weapon, including creatures used as weapons, or an item. The enchanted weapon/item after being thrown reappears in your hand once it lands or impacts a target.
And once again, that's a non-exclusive.
At level 13, you gain Blessed Protection, which is exclusive. Your deity has blessed your armor, granting you the resistance against the dark creatures that wander the stars. Your armor level increases to Tough 5. If your armor level is already Tough 5, incoming attacks roll with -2 bonus dice. If you are hit by an incoming attack, you may expend a reaction to inflict 3d6 + 7 radiant damage to your attacker.
Fun.
Level 14, you gain advancement training. Level 15, you gain your specialization further. Level 16, you gain Overwhelming Strike, which is exclusive. Once per round, after successfully attacking a target, you may expend a Moderate Blessing to automatically inflict the prone condition on your hit target. Upon successfully inflicting the prone condition this way, the same target cannot be knocked prone again for 3 rounds. If the target cannot be knocked prone, instead inflict plus 3d6 radiant damage.
It's smite.
Yep.
It's expending charges for smite. And remember, moderate can be used 8 times per day. That's 8 smites a day.
So if they can't be knocked prone, then you're going to have some fun if you decide to burn through all of those.
Smite!
Which some may say that's excessive, but that was half of my strategy when I did Palorers.
I will put it this way, people. There is no kill like overkill.
You get, and for those who don't know why I call what a Palorer is, it is a sorcerer paladin multi-class. Paladins use spell slots for smite, so pair them up with a class that gets a shitload of spell slots.
I think it's funnier to call them sorcererdins, but he doesn't like that.
It doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
But it sounds funnier.
Then at level 17, you gain advancement training. At level 18, you gain Punish the Wicked. A divine aura extends from you in a 17 by 17 area field. All adversaries within this field are considered to be in harsh terrain. While inside this field, allies are empowered and gain +2 squares of base movement. This ability does not stack. Imagine pairing
nice.
a level 18 Imagine pairing a level 18 Prophet with a few Field Knights.
Well, Punish the Wicked isn't exclusive. A Field Knight could just take this themselves.
Yeah.
But then we get to level 19 with A Light to Others. Once per long rest, you may call upon the divine light granted to you. Until the end of your next turn, you absorb all damage This is phrased weirdly. It's all damage allies within 12 squares take. It would read better if you say you absorb all damage taken by allies within 12 squares. This might consider that for another revision in the future there, Trevor. This incoming damage is halved as it flows through a shield of light that surrounds you. If the damage is radiant, corrupt, or chaos damage, it is negated instead. Okay. And then we get level 20 with our capstones, and these capstones have always been impressive. They're also almost always exclusive. Almost always. This one absolutely is. Voice of the Patron Ultimate. Your patron deity has seen your undying faith and rewarded it. You are now a voice of your patron. Add +1 to your power and vitality virtues. This may bring you above 9 points. On top of this great boon, you may commune directly with your patron, adding +4 uses to your moderate and major blessings per day. Now you've got 12 smites, Monk. Additionally, you gain a new effect that may be used once per long rest based on your patron deity. For Elinath, as an action, automatically cast the Life's Gift Natura spell on all other allied targets within 12 squares. This spell casts at Magus level. Hold on a second. I'm at this point I now have to open the core book, just because I need to look at the Natura list again, and look at Life's Gift again. Okay, it was Life's Gift. Where are you? Life's Gift is a novice spell, but it's being cast at Magus level. So its range is 5 squares. It is an instant. The cooldown is once per person per day. Cast this spell and plant a life-giving seed within an ally. If they are reduced to 0 HP, the seed covers them, healing them to 8/12/18/25 HP. Magus level would be the 25 HP version. The spell stays on an ally for 5 rounds and cannot be cancelled. It may be used on one ally at a time and cast on the same target once per day. So basically, this is oh shit, I think that person might die soon. You cast it on them so that they get pulled back up with 25 HP. Okay. Ruinoff. Target all adversaries within 15 squares of you and mark them with an impending doom sigil. The sigil increases all incoming damage by 10% for 5 rounds. At the end of 5 rounds, the sigil activates and inflicts 10d6 pure damage. What? And it says to the target, but 15 squares of you, all adversaries, 5 rounds, up to 60 pure damage? Holy shit. God damn, Ruinoff. Again, just continue to take Ruinoff because I like being a what we like to call a damage tank. I'm upfront tanking damage, but also killing shit. Sylvana, place a 13/13 area field aura of change center. God, the aura of change, Jesus Christ. Centered around you for 5 rounds. While this field is active, all incoming and outgoing damage and healing is swapped. For example, if an adversary would fire a plasma arrow that inflicts 3d6 plasma damage at you or an ally within the field, that arrow upon hitting you would instead heal the target by 3d6 HP. However, incoming healing would inflict damage to the target instead. This works the same for any outgoing damage or healing for beings within the field's effect. So, if you somehow manage to make the aura and then trap the enemies in it while your allies are outside of it, their attacks are going to hit you but heal you because their attacks are coming from within the field. But your attacks are going to hurt them because you're not in it anymore. You have to be within the field for the effect to take damage, or for the effect to take place. Which means if you're outside the field, your damage is normal, your healing is normal. But if somebody's within it, their damage is healing and their healing is damage. That's mean. That's really mean. Yeah, I found it, Trevor. Thank you. Miala, for 5 rounds, you can see into the future, granting you +2 auto-hit dice on all contested and virtue checks. While active as a reaction when an adversarial area field attack / spell is made, you may move yourself and one willing ally out of the area field if possible. Gain double movement for this reaction. Jesus. For Omnia, you commune with Omnia for 3 rounds, after which all party members are treated as if they had just had a long rest. This may be used in and out of combat. This ability does not become available again until your next actual long rest. So if you've used a lot of your long rest reliant abilities, which unlike most games where Monk and I have a problem with short rest, long rest being a trigger for resources, our friends over at STG Publishing have made all of the short rest and long rest based abilities very much worthwhile in impact for them to have such a deep cost. Something that costs a long rest in this game, and we go into much more detail about it in our main series about Veil of the Void. So again, please go watch that, Valley. They actually feel like, hey, you did this big thing that was really, really impactful on whatever was happening. A long rest is kind of necessary at that point. It makes sense in that aspect. Mm-hmm. And we really appreciate that they've made the skills that balanced for this game. I mean, Veil of the Void is one of the games I want to play on Cloister at some point. Not just saying.
Yeah, about that.
I know. Eichel, you summon a Divine Judge of Eichel in a square up to 30 squares from you. For the next 5 rounds, twice per round when an adversary within 20 squares of the judge performs any attack, you may perform an Arcanting or Weapons Master attack against the target for free. On a success, inflict 7d6 radiant damage to the target. Once per round, when an ally within 30 squares of the judge heals another ally, you may increase the healing by 3d6. Jesus. Then we have Errata as the aspect of peace. Your desire for peace is spread to all adversaries within a 15-square range. For 5 rounds, all adversaries with 2 or more attacks cannot make more than 1 attack per round. If they hit with an attack, the damage is reduced by 10%. Additionally, for 5 rounds, if they are a mage who can cast 2 or more spells per round, they may only cast 1 spell. And then finally, for the Face of Wrath version of Errata, you are overcome with the feeling of Errata's wrath, and it empowers you. For the next 5 rounds, gain an additional attack action and an additional reaction, but get lost in a blind rage, unable to switch targets for the duration unless the target dies. Monk, it's a true berserker.
Yep.
And with that, we start stepping into the specializations. And the first specialization, Path of the Chaplain, is exclusive to the Prophet. So not only is in many cases, you could actually have specialization skills even swap between classes unless the specialization itself is exclusive. So Path of the Chaplain's different skills are all exclusive to the Prophet at this point. Those who follow this path expand upon their vow, promising to heal the wounds of both the body and the mind. Their patron tailors their gifts, granting the chaplain access to all manner of divine power. At the level 5 spec, when you first get your specializations, you get Arcanting, and you may either use Vitality or Judgment to cast spells. They also get +1 level in the Arcanting skill, and they can cast spells at Apprentice level. Their primary spell tree is the Divine spell tree, which we'll get to later, and you learn 5 spells. You get Rapid Repair 4 times per short rest. When you cast a spell that restores HP to a target, you may cast it as an extra action instead of an action. If the spell is a channel spell, reduce the channel stage by 1. And Aura of Mending. A powerful aura of divine origin surrounds you in a 13 by 13 area field. All other allies within the field below 10 HP heal 3 HP at the start of their turn up to the max of 10 HP. An ally is unaffected by this while in the down state, and this field is negated while you are in a down state. Additionally, this healing cannot affect those with the sickly condition and is negated while you are affected by the drained condition. At level 15, the healing affects all allies below 25 HP, and the healing increases to 4 HP. That's pretty cool. And then we get to the level 10 specs. Blessings Held. Outside of combat and before casting a friendly spell that would either heal or protect a single ally other than yourself, you may commune with your patron deity and expend 2 of your minor blessing points. If you do, the blessed spell will be cast in a delayed state as a rune inscribed on your ally. You may activate this delayed spell anytime as a free action in or outside of your turn in combat. This spell adds to your charge state at the time of casting. At level 15, you can target an additional ally with the same spell for free. And you also get your spell upgrade to be able to cast adept spells in the Divine Tree. Mm-hmm. And then at level 15, you get Aura Mastery. Your control of auras has been enhanced. All area fields you control increase by 1, and the range of spell effects increases by 7 squares. For example, your Aura of Mending ability now increases to a 15 by 15 area field. And then you also get your spell upgrade to Magus level and 2 additional spells. Oh, you also got an additional spell at Adept. And then the level 20 spec for the Chaplain, you get your final spell upgrade to Superlative level Divine Spells and can cast 1 Superlative level Divine Spell an additional time per day. An additional time per day? 2 Superlatives? Okay. And then the capstone ability, Call Upon the Divine. Once per long rest, you may cry out to your divine patron to request assistance in your time of need. For 7 rounds, increase your Aura of Mending area field to 21 by 21 and increase its healing to 7 HP. For the duration, all other allies' outgoing damage is increased by 10%, and their incoming healing, not including the Aura of Mending, is increased by 20%. Additionally, while active, you may cast the divine spell Smite as a free spell once every 2 rounds, targeting up to 7 adversaries within the 21 by 21 field. I make my Arcanting check. Oh, that works. 7 of you, take this. Jesus.
Is that a delete button?
It sounds like it, but then Trevor is giving me he's threatening you with a good time, Monk.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. Then we have the Path of the Inquisitor. An Inquisitor in this episode, how unexpected.
Nobody expects the... Wait a minute. Nobody expects the Space Nordic Inquisition?
Those who follow this path expand upon their vow, promising to bring the judgment of Eloah down upon the corrupt and protect the innocent from harm. Inquisitors specialize in hunting and nullifying corrupted magic and beings. Many individuals have claimed to be Inquisitors throughout the ages, but in truth, few Inquisitors have been ordained. Only those hand-picked by Ikel can so be given this title. This places great responsibility on them, as they cannot abuse this power lest they be judged as well. Judge not, lest ye be judged. So they get... And this is a non-exclusive specialization, to note. So we start with counter-training. Those who are ordained as Inquisitor are disconnected from the arcane current. If you have fewer than 3 skill points in the supersensory skill, raise your supersensory skill point to level 3. While you can no longer cast spells, you gain resistance to all incoming magical damage and are immune to non-legendary magical curses. Inquisitors can detect any magic that is manipulated up to 3 squares or 150 feet away.
The Inquisitor is a counter mage. They're an anti-mage. This is a true anti-mage.
Yep. Next we have Words of Judgment. Inquisitors gain knowledge of the words of judgment Eloah spoke to Akel during the first cycle. Akel. You may choose one of the invocations below and gain its effect for 2 rounds unless otherwise stated. After the invocation ends, it goes into a 1-minute or 10-round cooldown. First invocation. Up to 3 allies gain protection from magical damage from one chosen non-divine spell tree. When choosing the arcane tree, you must choose either air, earth, fire, or water. Second invocation. Your next 3 attacks inflict pure damage. Third invocation. Gain an additional attack action. Fourth invocation. Once per round, when a spell equal to or less than your current spell level is cast, you may make a contested supersensory check against the caster. On a success, cancel the spell and heal 7 HP. Fifth invocation. All skills under skill point level 3 are treated as though they're at skill point level 3. Sixth invocation. When a spell is cast within 20 squares of you, you may expend a reaction to immediately inflict 2, 3, 4, or 6 d6 psyche damage to the caster.
That scaling is the scaling of your specialization. So it's 2d6 when you're at your level 5, 3d6 when you're at your level 10, 46 when you're at your level 15, and 66 when you're at your level 20.
Seventh invocation. You and another ally gain an additional reaction. Eighth invocation. Once per round after you make a melee attack, you may force the target to perform a hard 4 muscle check as an extra action. If they fail, inflicts 3d6 physical damage to your target, and they gain the stun condition. Ninth invocation. Gain a temporary +5 shield points. I feel like that could be reworded a little bit. These
Just take out the A, gain temporary +5 shield points.
Yeah. These shield points can block magical and physical attacks. These points increase by +5 at levels 10 and 15. 10th invocation. Chains wrap around a target within 20 squares of you, inflicting the grasp condition on them. If they are a magic user, any spells cast are 1 difficulty higher.
Nice.
So then we have the level 10 spec, Against the Corrupt. In locations Akel note... Sorry, I keep saying Akel. It's Akel. In locations Akel notes as truly corrupted or evil, for example, a demon's lair or corrupt politician's house.
Isn't that every politician's house?
Yes. Your attacks inflict plus 1d6 psyche damage, and you gain immunity to any mind-altering effects or corrupt conditions. Additionally, once per every 3 long rests, if you should be put into the down state or killed by a creature with the keywords corrupt, demonic, evil, or undead, you instead heal up to 15 HP and gain a free attack against the attacker. That demon
hold
killed
on.
you. No, it didn't.
I'm gonna say here that this feels a little underpowered. Once per every 3 long rests. I don't know about that one. I was just lauding you about how things felt impactful because of the long rest, short rest dichotomy that you actually have, and now I'm looking at one that feels like the cost is a little too heavy there.
So, level 15, Intense Gaze. Ikel's judgment emanates from your eyes towards all those deemed corrupt. Adversaries within 7 squares of you must perform a hard for analysis, observation, or mentality check on every round. On a failure, the target is inflicted with the following conditions: Weary 7, Stagnated 7, and Fear. A target may be afflicted with these conditions this way twice per short rest. On a success, they ignore the conditions and perform their turn as normal. However, each round they must perform the check again. And then we... all I can see is gaze into the face of fear.
Yep.
Then we have the level 20 spec, which is the only exclusive one.
Yeah, the skill for the level 20 spec is exclusive to the Prophet, but the others from Path of the Inquisitor is not.
The final words of judgment have been revealed to you, and your resolve improved. Your invocations now last 3 rounds, and you gain immunity to incoming psyche damage. You also gain the following invocation. The 11th invocation. Your attacks cannot be deflected, and successful attacks against the target cause divine flames to burst out from the hit target in a 5-square cone field, inflicting the weapon's damage to all other adversaries within the field. Additionally, if you are hit with an attack, these flames strike back at the attacker, automatically inflicting your weapon's damage to the attacker. This invocation lasts 5 rounds.
Jeez. Jesus. That final invocation's kind of I love it.
And I'll let you take Path of the Justiciar.
Okay. The Past of the Justiciar. Those who follow this path expand upon their vow, promising to be just and bring justice to those around them. Justice is who you are and what you will do. Evil shall know your name, and you shall strike the fear of your patron into the corrupt. This is another non-exclusive specialization, so the skills from the specialization can be swapped around with other specializations. So for the level 5 specializations, a just mind. Your path as a Justiciar has calmed your mind, allowing you to be impartial in all situations. You cannot be affected by mind-altering effects such as confusion. You are completely immune to all demonic conditions and gain protection to demonic spells. You gain +2 bonus levels in the insight, observation, and analysis skills. I wonder why. Additionally, you can always sense evil, corrupt, undead, or demonic beings or spells within 15 squares of you. I am vengeance, I am the knight, I am the justiciar? What? Armaments of justice. Your patron has granted you the knowledge and expertise of previous justiciars. If your weapons master or dual-wielding skills have fewer than 3 skill points in them, raise them to level 3. Smite the unjust. 4 times per short rest after successfully hitting an attack, you may cast the divine spell Smite on your target for free. The spell automatically hits and does not add to the charge state. Holy fuck. Boom! Now die! My God saith thou die now! For level 10 specialization, the skill you get is On Wings of Justice. 2 divinial wings permanently sprout from your... You become a divinial even if you don't want to. Sprout from your back, granting a +10 square flight speed. Additionally, these wings may shed light in a 15 by 15 area field, removing darkness within the field. Any adversary attempting to hide within the field roll with -2 bonus dice and an auto miss die. Note, if you are a species that already has wings, you may choose whether you would like to add these wings or not. Regardless of choice, add +5 squares of extra flight speed to your base flight speed. So, Trevor, since you are in chat, I actually have a question on this. If you choose not to add these wings, could you instead imbue your species' normal wings with the field of light? I mean, obviously you're going to get the +5 squares of extra flight speed regardless. But I'd really like to know if they still get the wing, the light aspect, even if they choose not to take the divinial wings. And if so, that would probably be something you'd want to add into this note as well. But moving on, I'll wait for Trevor's response while still explaining things. For level 15, you get Divinity Unbound. Once every 2 rounds after making a successful attack, you may fly towards another target within your movement range and perform a melee attack against them for free. Why is this just built for Field Knight? Why? This movement attack ignores reactionary strikes, rolls with +1 bonus die, and inflicts 1d6 +4 additional radiant damage. If there are no additional targets within range, you may instead gain a free attack against the same target, but roll without the bonuses above. And then the level 20 spec is a name feared. Your name strikes fear into the hearts of the corrupt. Yeah, it's just Batman. All corrupted, evil, undead, or demonic factions know of your name and deeds, and you roll with +1 auto hit die on all checks against such targets. Targets that meet the above requirements, or those that your divine patron considers evil, cannot perform reactionary strikes against you or deflect your attacks. Additionally, average adversaries from these factions must succeed a contested intimidation judgment check against you in order to attack you. If they fail, they cannot attack you unless you allow them to, but they may target others within their reach. Okay. Okay. Trevor does confirm, yes, you still get the light aura. You just don't have to take the divinial wings specifically cosmetically if you don't want to. Makes sense. I just wanted to be 120% absolute sure because I know that there are people who will ask that question. Mm-hmm. Now, I would also like to note that not only is the path of the Justiciar specialization not exclusive to the Prophet, none of the skills from it are exclusive to the Prophet. You can swap these in and out wherever you want. Mm-hmm. And finally, we have this optional story path. The divine patrons typically extend grace to their prophets, forgiving their mistakes and allowing them to rectify any broken vows and mend their relationship with them. However, you should actively choose to rebel or turn away from the path of a prophet, you gain the following expertise: the prodigal soul, unique/story. You've chosen to break your vow and turn away from your patron. While you have this expertise, you lose all abilities from the prophet and must choose a new class. You gain the starting proficiencies of the chosen class. If this expertise is taken at character creation, you also gain the starting items. Upon restoring your vow and mending the relationship with your patron, you lose this expertise and any class abilities from your previous class and may take the prophet class again. That's interesting for roleplay purposes, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then we get to the prophet's own spell list, the divine spells.
Note that many of these spells are not actually exclusive to the prophet.
Mm-hmm.
You could choose to learn them because many of the spellcasting classes in Veil of the Void allow you to choose spells from other spell lists, depending on the circumstances they're in. But some spells are exclusive, and then when it comes to some entire spell lists, you almost can't take any of them. Hello, ether spells, unless you're the right class.
Mm-hmm.
But I will leave the first page of those spells to you.
So, divine spells draw upon the potent energy of one of the many deities of Veil of the Void. Anyone with a strong connection to one of the patron deities listed under the chosen patron may learn, or one created by your group/DM, may learn these spells. Divine spells are unaffected by the charge state's negative effects until 9+ divine spells are cast. Divine spells use judgment to cast.
All right.
So we start with the novice tier. Hallowed Flame, call upon a minor portion of your deity's power, lighting the way in the dark. No difficulty, range is 15 squares, and a 5x5 area field. Duration is instant, lasts 30 minutes. No cooldown. Choose an item or equipment within range, surrounding it in a holy flame that is cool to the touch and inflicts no damage. This flame illuminates everything within the field, revealing simple traps and forcing invisible adversaries to perform a hard 4 covert check. On a failure, the adversary is revealed while inside the field and for 2 rounds after leaving the field. This flame pushes back all darkness, both standard and magical. Ally attacks against adversaries within the field roll with +1 pip on the attack. When cast as a Adept Plus, the field increases to 9x9, and all attacks made against adversaries within the field are performed with +1 auto hit die.
Nice.
So then we have Healing Cleanse, which is exclusive. Call upon your patron to heal the wounds of your allies. Difficulties average 3, range is 14 squares, duration is instant, cooldowns 3 rounds. Target an ally, healing them by 2 times your vitality and cleansing a single condition. When cast as an Adept Plus, add 2d6 HP to the healing and grant the target a moderate blessing effect.
I'm guessing that it grants the target a moderate blessing effect without using a moderate blessing.
Mm-hmm. Minor Restoration. The smallest amount of healing can change the battle's outcome. Difficulties hard 4, range is self, and a 17x7 area field. Duration is channel 2. Cooldown is 4 rounds. Your patron's energy floods around you, healing all allies within the field by 10, 15, 20, or 30 HP. When cast at Adept Plus, this spell may be cast as an action. If an effect would allow this spell to be cast as an extra action or reaction, restore plus 50% additional HP.
Wait a minute. You remember that thing that allows you to put a spell on a rune on your arm to use it as an extra action?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those that I'd choose.
I could see it.
Oh, hey, there's Smite.
Yep, Smite. The divine power of your patron crashes down upon the corrupt. Difficulty is hard 4. Range is 9 squares. Duration is instant. Cooldown is 3 rounds. Choose up to 2, 3, 4, or 7 targets within range. A holy flame then bursts forth from the target, inflicting 2, 3, 4, or 7 d6 plus judgment pure damage. Patrons all have their own ideals and will not smite targets they deem innocent. If all targets are deemed innocent, the spell does not cast nor add to the charge state.
Which means if you want to be able to hit anyone and everyone, Ruinath sounds good. Because he doesn't seem to have any gripes about who you kill, just that you remember them well.
Mm-hmm.
My choice of patron seems so fitting.
Yep. Then we have Apprentice. Starting with Divine Protection. Wrap an ally in your patron's protection. Difficulties average 3, range is 14 squares. Duration is extra action, and then either 3, 4, or 7 rounds. Cooldown is 5 rounds. Target an ally within range and mark them with a rune of blessing. For the duration, the marked ally cannot be critically hit by incoming attacks.
That's useful, especially if you're using it on your frontline tank.
So next is Sanctification, which is exclusive. Your patron deity shares the divine enchantments upon your weapons with those around you. Difficulty is hard 4, range is 15 squares, duration is instant, 4 rounds. Cooldown is 5 rounds. All other allies within range gain a runic enchantment on their weapons, gaining the effects of the Prophet's level 3 ability, Weapons of the Divine, for the next 4 rounds. Additionally, the next time they make an attack with this weapon after the enchantment is first applied, they may immediately make another attack for free.
So it's 4 rounds of Weapons of the Divine plus double attack the first time you attack after getting it. Nice.
Then Will Made Manifest. Break through the veil to allow a small portion of your patron's power to manifest. Difficulty is hard 4, range is 5 squares. Duration is channel 2, 5 rounds. Cooldowns 5 rounds. Choose a square within range and tear through the veil, allowing a vague avatar of your patron deity to manifest. This manifestation takes on roughly the shape of your patron and, while channeling, may be activated once per round for free to perform one of 2 actions, attack or bless. When attacking, use your Arcanting skill plus 1 bonus die. If the attack hits, inflict 3, 4, or 7 d6 radiant damage. When blessing, grant an ally the blessed condition until their next long rest.
Very, very cool. These are some fun spells so far. But now we're getting into the big guns. Starting at Adept, we have Hallowed Ground. No evil may thrive while within these hallowed grounds. Has a difficulty of hard 4. Range is self, or centered on self, that casts a 21 by 21 by 21 area field. It's a cube. It's a 21 square cube. The duration is channel 3 to cast, and it lasts 25 minutes. The cooldown is 15 minutes. For 3 rounds, commune with your patron and mentally trace out a 21 by 21 by 21 area field centered on you. After the channeling completes, the area is purified. While purified, all toxic gas, chemicals, or other harmful airborne effects inside are negated and completely removed. Anyone inside that was suffering from sickly, drained, fear, burning, confusion, or stunned are immediately cured of its effects and cannot regain these conditions while inside. Additionally, an atmosphere is generated while inside the purified area. As this is hallowed ground, all undead, corrupt, demonic, or fallen adversaries within the field roll with an autonomous die and -1 bonus die on all attacks made inside the field. Additionally, while standing inside, these creatures take 3d6 plus 4 pure damage at the start of their turn. You do not need to maintain channel for the spell after casting it, and it remains centered on you after you move. You are a moving hallowed ground. Very cool. And then Holy Nova. Unleash a burst of your patron's power and judgment on those around you. Difficulty is tough 5. Range is self and a 21 by 21 area field. The duration is channel 3. The cooldown is 10 rounds. Commune with your patron, gathering their divine power into your palm. While channeling the spell, you gain a hover speed of 7 plus 7 squares. While successfully channeling this spell, a massive wave of holy energy bursts from your location. All adversaries within the blast take 7 at adept level or 14 at magus level d6 plus judgment, radiant damage, and must perform a hard 4 balance check. On a failure, they are knocked prone. All allies within range heal for 7 or 14 d6 plus vitality HP. Additionally, all allies affected gain a +7 square hover speed for 3 rounds. Holy Nova, I'm going to kill everybody and heal everybody, plus everybody's going to fly. We flying now, squad. Hover. Jesus Christ. Then we get to the highest level, sort of, Magus spells. Revivification. Let me enunciate that a little better. Mm-hmm. This gift comes not from your patron, but from Eloa himself, a grand blessing for all. Difficulty is tough 5, range is self, duration is channel 5, cooldown is once per long rest. Choose to focus on up to 8 allies that have died within the past 20 minutes. Instantly revive those allies at one of your adjacent squares, healing them by 20 HP and granting them protection from all incoming damage from 1 round. The spell can revive even completely disintegrated allies, though it will not revive any items or gear destroyed this way. The spell may only affect the same target once per game, and revived targets gain the resurrected expertise. This spell takes a toll on the caster, however, inflicting -1 to the caster's vitality virtue and -10 max HP until their next long rest. Yeah, I think Revivification deserves that sort of cost to it. Then we have the Wise One's Ward. This powerful spell was crafted by the elder prophet Sagacious Weiss to protect the lives of those under his care. I wonder if that's supposed to be wise, as in wise. I'm going to say Weiss, though, because Dragon Ball Super on the brain. Difficulty is average 3, range is 16 squares, the duration is a reaction, and the cooldown is 3 rounds. When an ally within range is successfully hit by an attack, you may cast the spell as a reaction. On success, turn up to 2 5 results on the enemy attack to 1 results. If this attack would still hit, it inflicts half damage and marks the ally with a divine rune for 5 rounds. While the rune is active, the ally has a temporary +1 bonus level in all skills. And then finally, the big daddy of all big daddies, the superlative spells that we love to talk about. Anyone capable of using divine spells may learn these superlative level spells. You may cast each of these superlative level spells once per day. All superlative level spells have a challenging 6 difficulty. First, we have Cleansing Flame. The innocent shall be spared the wrath of your patron, but the corrupt shall be purged. Range is 30 squares. The duration is channel 2 and lasts for 3 rounds. Commune with your patron deity for 2 rounds. After successfully casting the spell, the skies open and the veil is torn as your patron's power spills down upon the field in a righteous flame. All allies within the flame are cured of all critical injuries as well as all active conditions. While channeling, allies cannot be affected by conditions. So while you're channeling this, all of a sudden your allies are immune to conditions, and then any conditions they might have already gotten before, they're going to be cured of. All adversaries within the flame immediately take 70 radiant damage. Okay, flat damage numbers is big deal in Veil here. And gain the burning condition, which cannot be extinguished. Each round you channel the spell, all adversaries in range take 20 radiant damage and gain the burning condition. So it's the range is 30 squares. It's not an area field, but anything within 30 squares of you, if it's an ally, they are going to be immune to conditions while you're channeling, and enemies are going to take 20 radiant damage and get burning. And then when it pours down, that does 70 radiant damage and burning that can't be extinguished. Jesus. Then we get Sanctified Armor. Don the blessed armor of your patron. Range is self, duration is instant, lasts 20 minutes. Your armor is transformed into the purest metal armor surrounded in golden runes, granting you a tough 5 armor level. While equipped, you gain protection from all incoming damage and resistance to pure damage. What? We finally have something that stops pure damage. Additionally, you get a cloak that grants +1 auto hit die on all attacks and defense checks. You gain boots that grant +3 squares of base movement speed and a great blade that uses your primary virtue to attack and inflicts 76 physical and radiant damage. Finally, you gain a tower shield that automatically blocks an incoming non-plasma ranged attack once per round. You just become a Holy Avenger.
Yep.
Yep. And then finally, a moment of rest. A divine peace falls upon the land, and for a moment, one can breathe easy. Range is centered on self, with an area of 1 mile by 1 mile. The duration is channel 7, and it lasts 10 rounds. After channeling, a supernatural calm falls upon the field. All adversaries are immediately frozen in time, unable to take actions or deal or take damage. All allies in the down state are immediately healed to 15 HP. All allies are granted a short rest. Any chaotic effects are out of control area. Holy shit! Out of control area field spells are immediately canceled. You could cast a moment of rest, and so long as you don't also botch it, you can get rid of a superlative botch. It would immediately cancel a superlative, a failed superlative botch out of control field spell. All conditions are removed from allies and adversaries. No objects or items within the field can be destroyed. Anything in the process of being destroyed is repaired to its undamaged state. While active, you gain knowledge of the locations of all adversaries inside the field. After the spell ends or is canceled, all allies gain the blessed condition, and you may cast the smite spell for free on all adversaries caught in the field. This version of smite deals 14d6 pure damage instead of 76 plus judgment. So you're like, hold on, things are going bad for my people. Let's just level out the playing field. We're going to heal up. We're going to get short rest. Anything of ours you've damaged is now back to undamaged. I know where all of you fuckers are. I'm going to tell my friends where all of you fuckers are. You guys can't move. We can. And, we're done? Everybody's ready? Ready to go next to your chosen adversary? Right, guys? Okay. Cancel spell. Smite all y'all fuckers first. Go, friends, go. Oh, and Trevor does point this out correctly. None of these superlative spells are exclusive. Every superlative spell we saw back in core rulebook was exclusive to its tree, which means that it was also exclusive to the class that used that as the primary tree. These are the first superlative spells that are non-exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
A moment of rest is I don't know what I would choose between Cleansing Flame and a moment of rest if I were going to use something in the moment, but probably a moment of rest. Oh, shit's going bad. Let's cast that shit. Okay, cool. Everybody, I know where all the bad guys are. Stand next to these bad guys if you want to kill them for goodie. I'm going to hit them all with a smite when this drops. We're done with healing. We're done with making each other feel better about ourselves. Okay, let's go.
Mm-hmm. So the Prophet class and the Divine spells are definitely getting the seal of approval. There's a few things that might need some clarification, but the overall direction is solid.
Yes.
But then we get to equipment, which is adding new weapons and armor that can be used, as well as adding a new keyword, paired weapon. If the wielded weapon and the mentioned weapon are simultaneously equipped, you gain an extra attack action that may be used once every 3 rounds. You may only gain 1 extra attack action this way. So first we have armor, Robe of the Divine, which is light armor. While equipped, outgoing healing done by spells can heal the same target an additional time per day. Price 15,000. Then Rogue's Leather. It's a medium armor. When attacking the target from the back, it inflicts plus 1d6 additional damage. Good old backstab. costs 12,000. And Plasma-infused plate armor, which is a heavy armor. This armor is immune to the armor break effect and can be used to deflect plasma attacks. Costs 12,000. See, and then we have shields, starting with the and the only one we have here is the Alchemist Shield. This shield stores up to 8 potions. Once per round as an extra action, a potion may be removed from the shield and thrown or consumed. Additionally, when attacked by a melee weapon, you may expend a reaction to use a stored potion in a 3-square cone field in front of you.
And then there's the general note about shields. Shields grant resistance to physical damage when hit from the front.
Mm-hmm. But then we have melee weapons. Starting with the one-handed weapons, Dancing Blades, which does 1d6 plus 2 slashing damage. These dancing blades come with a gauntlet that must be equipped to use this weapon. While worn, 7 sharpened blades dance around you. You may use these blades to attack targets in melee or within 7 squares of you. Whenever you are hit, you may launch a blade to strike your attacker as an extra action or reaction, automatically inflicting 1d6 slashing damage. Additionally, once every 5 rounds, as an attack action, you may rapidly spin all 7 blades around you, inflicting 4d6 slashing damage on all beings adjacent to you. Finesse. Costs 15,000.
Yep. And for those who may not remember, a finesse weapon. Equipment keywords. I'm not seeing it. I think finesse just means it can... I am not seeing that keyword definition. I might be blind, Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not that blind. Oh yeah, finesse just uses finesse to attack. That's right.
Yep.
It just uses your finesse virtue.
So next is the Hard Light Throwing Spear, which has 1d6 plus 4 piercing damage, plus 1 pip on attack checks when this weapon is thrown, reach 2, costs 8,000. Then we have the Inquisitor's Blade. If this blade attacks a mage or magical creature, roll with plus 1 bonus die on the attack. Once every 5 rounds after a single target spell is successfully cast towards you, you may use a reaction to activate this blade's voidic functions, slicing the spell in half and preventing all damage/effects of that spell. Paired weapon, Inquisitor's Pistol. We'll get to that later. This thing costs 5,000. Then Kusari Gama, which does 1d6 force damage. Interesting. This weapon is equipped in both hands. After successfully attacking a target, you may force them to perform a hard 4 muscle check. On a failure, the target is grappled in the weapon's chain, and you may expend an extra action/reaction to pull yourself toward the target. Upon arriving, you may then automatically hit the target with the sickle end of this weapon, inflicting 1d6 slashing damage. While adjacent to your target, you cannot perform the grappling effect above. Also has the tags Finesse and Reach 4, costs 10,000. And we have the Shadow Flame Dagger. Does 1d6 slashing in shadow. After successfully hitting the same target 3 times in a row, inflict the burning condition. The damage from this condition is both fire and shadow damage. Uses finesse. Costs 8,000. Then the Sword of Chaos. Does 1d6 plus 1 slashing damage. After successful attack with this sword, roll 1d3. On a 1 result, a burst of chaotic energy inflicts 4 chaos damage on all beings in a 5x5 area field centered on you. On a 2 result, nothing happens. On a 3 result, increase outgoing damage with this blade by 10% for 2 rounds. Paired weapon, Sword of Order, costs 7,000. Speaking of which, Sword of Order. Does 1d6 plus 2 slashing damage. Once per round, you may re-roll an odd result die on an attack made with this sword. After successful attack, if you rolled an odd number on your damage die, increase the result to the next even number. Paired weapon, Sword of Chaos. Costs 6,000. So I think I see what sort of Inquisitor they're going for with the Inquisitor's blade being paired with a Inquisitor's pistol.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. An
But
anti-mage, yeah.
then we get to the two-handed weapons, and I'll let you take that.
Okay. First, we have the Duelist Spear. It does 1d6 plus 3 piercing damage, and it gives you plus 1 pip on defense checks while equipped. Has a reach of 2, costs 8,000 SC. Then we have the Great Spear, 2d6 plus 3 piercing damage. After successfully attacking a target, you may force the target to perform a contested muscle check against your attack. If they fail, you may launch the target back 3 squares. Has a reach of 3, is also noted as a great weapon, and great weapon tag says, and I quote, must be held with 2 hands while attacking and requires a power or vitality of 6+ to wield. And it costs 10,000 credits. We have the Halberd, which is 1d6 plus 3 piercing. Once every 3 rounds after successfully landing an attack, you may immediately make an additional attack against the same target for free. On a successful attack, this attack deals, or in a successful hit, this attack inflicts 1d6 plus 3 slashing damage. And the reach, it also has reach 2. It is 16,000 credits. We have a Plasma Sphere, which is 2d6 plus 2 plasma with a reach 2, the armor break, and the plasma signifiers, which, if you remember, armor break, attackers gain plus 1 bonus die against the target for 2 rounds, and plasma can only be blocked by vibro and plasma weapons. So it can't be blocked unless somebody's using special stuff. And then we have Wind Blessed Hand Wraps, 1d6 force. Each consecutive attack made against the same target increases this weapon's damage by plus 2 to a max of plus 8. After reaching the max damage increase, gain an extra attack action. These bonuses reset after switching to a new target. These wraps must be equipped on a minimum of 2 hands. We say a minimum of 2 hands because there are things with 4 arms in this game. And it costs 15,000 credits. Nice. Then we get to ranged weapons. We have the one-handed ranged weapons. The Channeled Rifle, which does 1d6 energy, which has a range of 20 to 40, and a clip of 15E. And you may use a Channel 3 action on this weapon, and after the 3rd round of channeling, the rifle will automatically fire at a target of your choice, inflicting 1d6 plus 20 energy damage upon successfully hitting the target. You may add pips to 3 dice instead of 2 on this attack. Cost is 6,000 credits. And then we get to the Inquisitor's Pistol, which does 1d6 caliber damage. The range is 18 to 36. Clip is 8C, being caliber.
Mm-hmm.
If this pistol is used to attack a mage or magical creature, roll with plus 1 bonus die on the attack. If used to attack a mage who used a spell within the previous 2 turns, add plus 6 to the attack. Plus 6 damage to the attack. Paired weapon, Inquisitor's Blade, also costs 3,000 credits. So basically what you would do here, ostensibly, is with your Inquisitor's Blade, you may cut through a spell, and then because you can, as with the paired weapon, you can get an extra attack with the other one. You can then also fire the pistol with the extra damage. Then we get the Rapid Fire Pistol. It does 1d6 piercing damage, has a range of 15 to 30, and its clip is 12 in caliber. It has the Sustain Fire and Shield Pierce indicators, which Sustain Fire, roll 1d2 and perform that many additional attacks. If you miss, your gun overheats, and you cannot use Sustain Fire until the round after an unjam action. And Shield Pierce, damage inflicted by this weapon ignores energy shields. And the Semi-Automatic Scrapper, a 1d6 energy damage, 15 to 30 range, 8 energy in the clip. After you completely expend this weapon's clip, after reloading the weapon, you may throw the expended clip as a free action, treating it as an explosive grenade from the core rulebook on page 164. And it also has the Sustain Fire tag for 6,000 credits. Fun. Your energy, your energy magazine becomes a grenade at the end. That's nice. And we get to the two-handed ranged weapons, such as the multi-shot short bow, which does 1d6 plus 2 piercing damage, has a range of 20 to 40. Does 15... 15E on the clip. When attacking with this weapon, you may attack up to 3 targets within the bow's short range. When attacking multiple targets, perform 1 weapons master check used for all targets. Cost 6,000 credits. We have the Saw Blade Spinner. What are we playing now? We're playing Quake. 1D, or is that Unreal Tournament I'm thinking of? Both of them were good arena shooters. 1d6 plus 4 slashing damage, range of 16 and 32. This weapon launches a deadly spinning saw blade at a target that pierces shields. After successfully hitting a target, you may expend an extra action to direct the blade at another target within 16 squares of the original target, automatically hitting. This weapon inflicts Bleed 2 condition. If your first attack misses the target, it requires a rearm movement action to reset this weapon, and costs 13,000 credits. We get the Shielded Crossbow, which is 2d6 piercing, 20 to 46 C as the clip. As an extra action, you may deploy a hard light shield attached to this weapon. This produces a shield planted into the ground and grants half cover. You cannot move while the shield is deployed and the weapon equipped. You may use an extra action to retract the shield, and it has the full reload tag, which takes half movement and an action to reload. And then it's costs 10,000 credits. Finally, we have the Staff of Restoration. Does 1d6 radiant damage, has a range of 25, clip of 10A. And it says, while equipped, all outgoing healing is increased by 10%, cost 8,000 credits.
Yep. And then we get into vehicle rules. Now this section, starting with Starship rule updates. This section adds and updates rules for space combat and travel. It will expand upon the core rulebook to improve your space combat and Starship travels. So we have a new Starship rule based on expanding upon the available ones. Programmer. This position focuses on hacking, anti-hacking, and general ship improvement. While manned, the user may use their actions to attempt to hack into an enemy vessel, performing a contested programming against that vessel's programmer. If that ship does not have a programmer, the check is hard 4. On a success, the target ship's weapons master rolls with -1 bonus die on their next 2 attacks against the programmer's ship. Alternatively, you can shut down the target ship's communications for 1 round. Good old ECM.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the Starship Critical Chart, which is an optional thing. This new Starship Critical Chart can add some fun consequences to Starship combat for both PCs and adversaries. This chart is rolled when a starship critically succeeds an attack against another starship, and it may only be rolled once per round, typo, regardless of how many attacks are made. When critically succeeding an attack, add plus 2d6 to the final damage, then roll 1d6 and consult the Starship Critical Chart. Note, you can critically succeed as many times as you have attacks, and may add the plus 2d6 damage each time, but can only roll on the chart once per round. So as far as the critical chart, 1. Inflict plus 10 additional damage. 2. Target's weapon masters roll with -2 bonus dice on their next attack. 3. Starship is limited to 2 maneuvers per round for 4 rounds. 4. All rolls aboard the attacking starship roll with +1 bonus die on their next check used against the targeted airship. 5. The attacking starship gains a free maneuver to perform against the targeted airship until the next starship until the next round. And 6. Weak spot. Double the initial damage. If the starship hit was a fighter or mech, disable it until the end of their next round. The affected ship cannot be disabled from this roll again for 3 rounds. And
Interesting.
then we have collision damage. Occasionally in space combat, your starship may collide with another vehicle or environmental feature, such as an asteroid. This guide will list the damage dealt by each starship vessel size. Anytime you collide with a ship smaller than yours, take half damage, and when colliding with a ship bigger than yours, take 20% more damage. And it goes from 1 to 10. Fighters, 5d6 plus 5. Frigates, 8d6 plus 10. Destroyers, 12d6 plus 15. Carriers, 15d6 plus 15. Battle cruisers, 20d6 plus 20. Dreadnoughts, 30d6 plus 20. Fleet ships, 30d6 plus 50. Leviathans, 30d6 plus 100. Small asteroids, 15d6, and large asteroids, 30d6. Something something, you sunk my battleship.
Heh.
Then we have some general rule clarifications, starting with space creatures. While in space / their natural habitat, challenging and stronger creatures, like the Void Worm, have a minor warp ability that allows them to move around space and interact with the Veil Stream. This warp requires the following checks to be made in order to warp properly. Average 3 flight or piloting check, easy 2 analysis or observation check. If both checks are completed, the creature may use warp travel. All creatures with the Void keyword or have a natural habitat within the Void are immune to the Void sickness effect. And for monster-sized creatures in the rest of that page, I will hand it over to you.
All right. Monster-sized creatures. It's important to note that monster/vehicle-sized creatures, creatures of giant 4x4 base size and bigger, are considered vehicles and follow the vehicle damage rule on Core Rulebook page 171, non-space/void combat section 5. This means their attacks against standard-sized PCs, adversaries, and environments inflict additional damage and an automatic critical hit on successful attacks. And we have vehicle skill use. When performing skill checks for the vehicle, you will either use the PC's virtue or the vehicle's virtue, depending on the type of check. Skills that use mentality, charm, or judgment always use the PC virtue. Excuse me. For clarification, reference below. Player virtues: analysis, arcanting, mechanics, observation, piloting, and programming. Vehicle virtues: balance, covert, defense, dodge, dual wielding, environmental survival, flight, muscle, sleight of hand, and weapons master. In very rare cases, it may make sense to use the vehicle virtue instead of the PC virtue. In this case, work with the GM to determine which should be used. Then we have starship maneuvers. New fun mechanic to add more options to space combat. Starship maneuvers require the use of a being's action or reaction and can be performed by various positions throughout the ship. It is important to note that each position on a starship may take part in one maneuver per round. For example, if an engineer performs the overcharge engines maneuver, they cannot then partake in the emergency brake maneuver. I think emergency brake, it's the wrong brake. When you're talking about braking as in stopping to turn around, that's B-R-A-K-E, not B-R-E-A-K.
Mm-mm.
So, just so you know, wrong brake. Homophones are fun.
Yep.
So first we have barrel roll attack. Is it a barrel roll or an aileron roll, though? The pilot may use a reaction to attempt to dodge an incoming attack. On a successful dodge, move the ship forward 3 squares and turn it around to face the target. If you are within range of the attacking ship, the weapons specialist may use their reaction to attack the aggressive starship. This may only be performed by starships with a finesse of 5 or more. Then we have emergency brake. The pilot may perform a hard 4 piloting check. The engineer may perform a hard 4 mechanics check, and the navigator may perform a hard 4 analysis check as a reaction to full stop their ship and turn it around on the spot. All of them must succeed their check or lose the reaction. On success, the ship turns around on the spot and may move forward 4 squares. This may be done once every 3 rounds. Emergency command. Once every 5 rounds, the captain may give all players on the ship +1 action reaction. Empower shields. Engineers may improve the shields of a starship as an action or reaction and a hard 4 mechanics/programming check. If successful, increase the ship's shield by 10 points for the next number of incoming attacks equal to the starship's vitality. After these attacks, the shields go on cooldown for 2 rounds. We have empower weapons. The engineer may perform a hard 4 mechanics check, or the programmer may perform a hard 4 programming check as an action. On a success, grant the weapon master plus X attacks, where X is equal to half the ship's power virtue. These extra attacks are divided evenly between all weapons masters on board if there are multiple weapons masters, and it has a 6-round cooldown. Hack weapons. The programmer may perform a contested check as an action against a starship within 35 squares. On a success, the target ship rolls with -1 attack on their next turn to a minimum of 1 attack, and rolls with +1 Autonomous die on their next attack, 3-round cooldown. We have intercept path. As a reaction, when another starship flies within 4 squares of this starship, the pilot, mechanic, and navigator may each perform an average 3 piloting, mechanics, and analysis check respectively. On a success, you may move your starship up to 4 squares toward that starship. Overcharge engines. The engineer may overcharge the engines of a starship with an average 3 mechanics check, granting the pilot plus 3 squares of temporary movement. This movement lasts 60 seconds or 6 rounds before ending and reducing the starship's movement by 1 square for 20 seconds or 2 rounds. This has a 30-second or 3-round cooldown. Then we have plot course. The navigator may attempt a hard 4 analysis check before a warp or jump to give all other members performing the required checks plus 1 auto hit die on their checks. Quick communications. The communications officer may perform this as a reaction to an incoming aggressive communication, perform a contested speechcraft check. On success, prevent any negatives they would have provided and give all allies on the starship plus 1 bonus die on their next check. And we have quick repair. An engineer may perform a hard 4 mechanics check to heal the ship by 15% of its max HP. This is a 3-round cooldown and may only heal the ship 2 times per day. Then we have ramming speed. A programmer and an engineer may perform this as a reaction. When activated, the programmer performs an average 3 programming check and the engineer performs an average 3 mechanics check. On success, grant the starship plus 5 squares of movement and 20% force damage reduction for 1 round. After this, reduce the ship's speed by 2 squares for 2 rounds. And finally, sling insults. The programmer may target a ship as an action and perform a contested programming check. On a success, they access the target ship's comms. The captain and communications officer may sling insults and threats as a hard support speechcraft check reaction towards the target's crew. On the target's next check, they roll with plus 1 auto miss die per successful check against them. Okay.
And sling insults or casual Klingon conversation, because tell me these some of these maneuvers aren't channeling Star Trek.
Oh, some of them very much are.
In particular, the versions of Star Trek that the purists tell me I'm not supposed to like, which I do anyways, because don't tell me what to do. So next we have mech maneuvers. Mech maneuvers require the use of the pilot's action, extra action, or reaction. A mech pilot may only use 1 maneuver per round. We have activate clamps. As a reaction, activate the clamps in the mech's arms to add plus 2 auto hit dice on your next muscle check to maintain your grasp on a large monster or building. And aggressive stance. As an extra action, change the mech's stance to an aggressive one. This increases the mech's melee/range damage output by 20%, but increases the damage it takes by 10%. A stance lasts 2 rounds with a 3-round cooldown, and you may only have 1 stance active at a time and cannot activate a new stance until the current one ends. Then we have Arcanting Stance. As an extra action, change the mech's stance to one that allows for better control over magic. This increases the caster's potency by plus 1, but prevents the mech from dodging. A stance lasts 2 rounds with a 3-round cooldown, and you may only have 1 stance active at a time and cannot activate a new stance until the current one ends. And Defensive Stance. As an extra action, lock the mech facing forward. All attacks targeting you from the front do so with -1 bonus die and inflict 20% less damage. However, while in this stance, you cannot deflect from the rear and take plus 10% damage from flanking attacks. A stance only lasts 2 rounds with a 3-round cooldown, and you may only have 1 stance active at a time and cannot activate a new stance until the current one ends. And we have Emergency Eject. I'm immediately thinking of where the emergency escape is on orbital frames. As a reaction, activate the ejector seat in the mech to launch yourself out of the pilot seat up to 10 squares away. This can be used in an emergency to remove yourself from an exploding or heavily damaged mech. Take 20% of your max HP and damage as you land outside the mech. Well, parachutes slow down the fall, but they don't stop it. And we have High Jump Reactors. As an extra action, activate the jets in the feet of the mech and gain a temporary 12 square leap for the round. Jump jets. Then we have Overpower Shields. As a reaction, empower the shields of the mech, increasing the shield output by +5 points for the next X attacks, where X is the vitality virtue of the mech. After this, reduce the mech's shields by 5 for 2 rounds. Overclocking.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Quick Dodge. While piloting as a reaction, you may perform a piloting or dodge check to ignore an incoming melee or ranged attack from another mech/vehicle. Why am I thinking of Armored Core 4 Answer?
Not sure.
No, not enough speed. Never mind. Then we have Reactor Charge. As an extra action, activate the mech's reactors. Gain +1 extra reaction for the next 2 rounds. After this, lose all extra actions for 3 rounds. 3-round cooldown. Then we have Round Kick. As an extra action, when fighting creatures smaller than your mech, you may attempt a contested muscle, balance, or dodge against the target. On a success, charge the hydraulics in the mech and kick the target away by 6 squares and knock them prone. This inflicts 2d6 plus 4 damage, 3-round cooldown. It's a punt. And then Sprinting Jets. As a movement action, activate the Sprinting Jets, increasing the mech's movement speed by +5 squares for 2 rounds. The next 2 checks roll with -1 bonus die, 3-round cooldown. Overboost.
Yep.
And then we have a homebrewing guide to ships. Ships are a quintessential item to be used in Veil of the Void. It acts as a mobile base and can even develop to be its own character. While the core rulebook gives a good insight into some pre-built ships, this guide will give you detailed ships and building a proper starship. The next few pages give a brief description of each type of ship, as well as
Mech homebrewing,
as well as a template stat size.
Yep, and it does the same for mech homebrewing at the end of it as well.
So the ships are fighters, frigates, destroyers, carriers/battle cruisers, dreadnoughts, fleet ships, leviathans. And that's as high as it goes as Leviathans, which makes sense since Leviathans are, I'd say they're they would be the equivalent of the Citadel in Mass Effect. No, I think that's too big. Some of the bigger ships in the Migrant fleet in Mass Effect would probably be a better example.
Probably.
Especially since they're big enough to be mobile stations that can carry their own ships. So if anything, I guess the best equivalent would be the mothership in Homeworld.
I could see that one as well. Yeah.
And then they have a similar thing for mech homebrewing. And the 3 classifications we have are suit mechs, which is basically power armor. Whether it be the exosuits you see in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare or the Iron Man suit, I think it would qualify as a suit mech. Standard mechs are described as large mech units and are vehicles. I'm thinking Grandpa Gundam size.
Hold on. You said suit mechs?
No, for standard mechs.
Standard mechs. Let me see here. I think they're a little smaller than Grandpa Gundam size. Their size is only 2x2 or 3x3.
So,
I'd say more arm slaves. Yeah.
I was gonna say either arm slaves or scope dog.
Arm slave is probably a better one there.
Yeah, I think in that regard, scope dog might be a little bit too small.
Yeah, scope dog's almost down at suit level, almost.
Let's see, and then we have Titan mechs, which I would say Titan mechs. Would you say they'd be the equivalent of a? Well, given that it's supposed to have a crew of 4 to 8, I think these would be the equivalent of 40K Titans, even a Warhound Titan.
Something like the Warhound, I would say. The
Mhm.
Warhound or even the Ravager.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say assault class mechs and battle mech, but those are too small. Because even something as big as like a Titan or a Marauder can more or less be handled by one pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a Titan mech here, it's stating that the crew size should be between 4 and 8.
Yep.
And there's also the fact that it's described as there being few Titan class mechs in Reacton. And as far as size go, I'd say maybe the Macross when it's transformed.
For
No, never mind. The Macross is too big.
the Macross is a Leviathan-sized ship, Monk.
Yeah, but that more or less covers everything for Veil of the Void Prophecy. There's definitely a lot to like in what's present here. The only nitpick that I think we have is a few cases where the writing could use some clarification, could use some cleaning up, and a
Yeah.
few typos.
Yeah.
But everything else is pretty damn solid. Uh, I especially like that with the Prophet, we essentially have the equivalent of a Paladin without the things that piss us off about Paladins.
I mean, they even offered a better way of falling without the whole fall or die.
Pretty much. And it gives the opportunity to go back if one needs be, especially by calling it prodigal.
Yep.
But Trevor did say in the comments the homebrewing guides should really help out the architect class characters that want to build mechs and ships. Which, yes, I'd say that was one of the things we had a bit of an issue with, was that if even though there was a decent spread of mechs and ships in the core book, people are going to want to build their own shit, and there wasn't a whole lot of guidance for that. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you can hack around with some of the existing ones. I know that argument's always going to happen, but that's a bandage, and it always will be. And with the with that in mind, I think that I'm glad that this one was significantly more manageable than last time. I know I keep picking on the whole Yggdrasil incident, but I've gone out of my way to make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen again.
Yep.
And I always look forward to seeing how Veil of the Void will expand. And bit of a spoiler warning: this won't be the last time Veil of the Void shows up on this channel. So please look forward to it. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.